Betty White like?
Oh my God, as lovely as you would ever hope, you know. She's so friendly, never acted uh she was never, you know, some people we would talk to, you could tell they felt like it was a job. Like, I'm talking to you cuz so and so made me, whatever
Yes.
movie
Oh,
I'm
trust
doing
me, I
for.
know.
Yeah, right. She seemed to genuinely like to talk to people, and she was very kind to me. And at the end of the conversation, she said, "Now stay my friend." And you just felt, and I'm, you know, that could have been her signature phrase, but you really felt like you were her friend, and that's such a gift that she had to make people feel like that.
Those are the best interviews. Like you really, I think a lot of times people mean it, like
Mm-hmm.
it is the business and that it doesn't happen. But to me, I agree. I think it's like it could be really genuine, like in the moment. And that's, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
you're just having like a human conversation.
totally.
I had that with Rachel McAdams. I interviewed her for the wedding planner. Is that the wedding crasher? The wedding crashers.
Yeah.
I had like a just a really human interview with her, and you know that stuff is meaningful. You never forget it.
You never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you started doing comedy and you said, wow, like right away, you're like, this is it. Like, this is what I was meant to do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did this improv class, and just I had done some plays in college, but I wasn't very good. I had terrible stage fright, so I had in my head like this love of like wanting to perform, but in practice, I was a deer in headlights. And with improv, I was like, I'm just gonna try it. Maybe it could help me get rid of this fear. And it did. It just made me get like whatever was holding me back. It just washed that all away, and it saved. I mean, I could not do what I do if I had stage fright now.
No, you cannot.
So I'm so grateful because it, took out the anxiety of the job.
Well, you
And
got into the groundlings. I mean, that's not so easy.
yeah, I did the Sunday company with them for a year and a half. So I went through the school and all those levels for like 5 years, and then did that Sunday company for a year and a half. So every Sunday we got to put on a new sketch show, and it was like amazing training. Nothing I've done in this business has trained me as well as that did.
Were you in the groundlings like in the Sunday rounds with anyone? Like, because everyone's gone through like who were your colleagues at the
Um,
time?
Taryn Killam was right at was we did Sunday company together. He went on to do SNL. And Nassim Pedrad was on there with him. Jillian Bell's one of my best friends. She and I were in there together. She's been in everything, Workaholics and Idiot Sitter and tons of movies. Um, but yeah, then you had the veterans that always are very involved, that come back, that give you advice or watch your shows. Melissa McCarthy would come watch shows and was very supportive. Kristen Wiig came to our shows, and uh yeah, you Will Forte came and went out with us for drinks afterwards. It was like a really cool place that was where people would come back and just be very supportive of the people in the program.
I love it. Well, you went on to do Last Comic Standing and Chelsea Lately. What like what moment for you was like your first big break? Like was it getting into the groundlings? Was it Chelsea Lately? Like what did you consider like, like you said, like there's all those lean years, like, oh wait, this
Mm-hmm.
is this is the thing.
Yeah, I've had several of those moments where you just like pinch yourself, like, oh, this is that thing that you've been waiting for. The first smaller one, but that felt huge at the time, and it was Last Comic Standing. That was my first television appearance. It was the first time people recognized me in, out and about. I saw you on that show, and that was like a real pinch me moment because I had been behind the scenes for many years in LA doing tons of shows, and nobody knew who I was. So that was really cool, but I was still running into not being able to get a job, not being able to get representation, being broke. So it felt like a cool moment, but it wasn't moving the needle per se.
Right.
So the Chelsea show was certainly that huge, huge break for me. It was what I mean, I cried when I got the job because I'd been given so many no's and so many people didn't know what to do with me, and I was different, and at the time that was not a positive thing. And she was the first person that viewed me being different as a feather in my cap. And they, told me I got the job, and then were gonna pay me a salary, and I mean, it changed my life. I literally didn't know how I was gonna pay my rent the next month,
Wow.
and it came at a time where I was like at a true crossroads, and so I'm always grateful for that show.
Did you ever think of like giving up? It's a tough business before you get your big break.
Once I discovered the passion, I never thought of giving up because I think half of people's battles in life is even finding out what they want to do. That's like anyone that's like, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I'm like, oh, that sucks because I feel so grateful that I found the passion. I found the thing. At least gave me a something to work towards. I think when you're just like flailing about, you're like, I don't even know what I'm working towards. That's harder. So even in those harder times, I still had the vision. It was just, just like I said earlier, you still got to pay your bills. Um, but I knew that I would have done anything to keep it going. If I had to get a job, whatever odd job, I would do that to keep the lights on. So and to keep paying. The classes were the most expensive, to be honest. That the Groundlings stuff is not cheap, so I was also working towards training, buying wigs, buying costumes. None of that was inexpensive. But I started tutoring kids part time and had that journalism job, and whatever. I would have been a barista if that's what it would have required.
Whatever
To
it
keep,
took.
yeah, exactly.
What was working on Chelsea lately like?
Very silly, very fun. We laughed, like belly laughed all day, every day. It still was sort of more corporate than people realize, because we were writers, so we had like you have to be here by like 9 o'clock. If you were late, you were in trouble. There's no strolling in with your sunglasses at whatever time. You can't, you leave at 6 or later. Not before. You have to ask permission to get coffee. There was a still big corporate vibe to it, but at least you were surrounded by really funny people, and so we had a real camaraderie among the writers of just hanging out and trying to make each other laugh.
Were you ever late?
Yeah, everybody was at some point. You had to, apologize and I won't do it again, kind of thing.
Be like, I've been here long enough. I'm good at this. Just cut me some
Yeah.
slack today.
Yeah, for sure. But you all run into things where you would just text them and be like, "I'm really sorry, traffic sucks."
You're like,
But it was
sorry.
stressful. That part of the job was my least favorite part. Was the corporate micromanage part, because if you're a comedian, you by nature don't like that. You want to spread your wings and fly. So I think after a while, I realized that the corporate world was not for me.
What about growing up? Like, who were your comedic inspirations? Or like when
Definitely.
you first were breaking into the business?